If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by portrait photography, or just at a loss of what to focus on to take you to that next level, then come hang with me. I help guide portrait photographers just like you to stay clear and sharp in camera and with your goals. I'm your host, photographer, educator, and weirdly positive mama of four, Emily Supio. And this is the Stay Focused podcast. Photography advice to help you stay focused. Well, hello, all of you. I'm Emily Supio, and thank you for pressing play on today's episode of the Stay Focused podcast. I absolutely love and appreciate each and every one of you that tune into the show, and I am always surprised by those of you who I feel like I've known for a while, who have followed me for a while, or even have been my students for a while, that just find the Stay Focused podcast, either on iTunes or on Spotify. So if you are brand new to listening, or if you've been listening for a while, I appreciate you. And I'm so glad that you are here and that you want to learn more about photography, that you are in on this photography journey and ready to make things happen. Now, either way, if you're a longtime listener or this is the first time, I would be so grateful if you would head over to iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen, hit that subscribe button. It seriously takes 1 second. Really, it's just click. And then if you love the show and would like to leave a rating and review, I would be even more grateful. Thank you so much for doing that and for all that you do. Now, today's brand new show is just me and you. In the very, very near future, I have some brand new guests lined up for you on the show. But for today, it's just me and you. I've kind of been liking that, and I've been getting a lot of great feedback from you about the last few episodes. So I figure let's just keep right on going. And we're going to be myth busting in today's episode. I'm going to break down 2 big, huge myths in the photography world, especially for those of you who are newer to photography. I'm going to share exactly what those myths are, why they're a myth, and then what you can do instead. So we're going to break down each one individually right here today. But before we get into myths 1 and 2, if you are at the point in your photography journey right now where you just can't seem to get a picture in focus, you can't figure out what those dials or buttons do on your camera, and you definitely can't figure manual mode out yet, then I invite you to my free 1-hour masterclass, the 4-step framework to confidently shooting beautiful portraits. You can register for this today for free by heading over to cozyclicks.com/framework. That's also going to be linked up in the description or show notes wherever you are listening to this podcast today. So just check out the description to today's show and you'll be able to click that link to register for free in the masterclass. Okay, so I always seem to assume like all of you listening know me and have been listening to me for a while and know the ins and outs of the podcast and the photography school and all the social media stuff out there. But I know that's not true. So if you heard me mention the website Cozy Clicks just a minute ago when I was talking about the masterclass, the Cozy Clicks online photography school is like the master hub of my business. And the Stay Focused podcast is part of that. So all of the past episodes of the Stay Focused podcast, all of the tutorials that are free and the videos and the premium courses that we offer are all housed over on cozyclicks.com. So I know that's separate. That's a different name than the Stay Focused podcast. And I don't know why I assume that all of you would know that it all goes together, but I feel like I need to say that and kind of let you all know that are newer to the show so it doesn't totally confuse you. But okay, enough of me rambling. Let's get into these big photography myths and bust them today, okay? Because you might be believing these myths right now, and I don't want you to, because that's going to hold you back in getting better with your goals, with your photography skills. So let's just get right into it, shall we? Okay, number one myth. You need a beautiful background, beautiful location to take beautiful photos. And I know this myth all too well because I can remember super clearly back to the beginning days for me when I was first trying to just make my pictures stand out, to try to get that like pop, that wow, that magic in my pictures. And I can remember back in the day when like Facebook was new. It was really new. Okay, that's how old I am, you guys. But it was about the same time I was really getting into photography, and I could remember scrolling through Facebook, and this was the time that like Facebook showed every post for everybody that you followed. I remember just liking all of these photography pages, and I don't even know where I found them or how they popped up in my feed at this time, but I liked all these photographers that I found to be just fantastic. Like they were just brilliant. Like I would study their work. And there was one in particular, and I remember her first name was Stephanie. I don't remember what her last name was at this time. I don't even know if she's still doing photography anymore, but I remember her name was Stephanie, and she was one of the ones that I followed. And she took pictures at the beach. All her pictures were beach pictures, and they were gorgeous, like these gorgeous, beautiful skies, this beautiful blue water, you know, kids playing in the beach, couples, like it just embracing and kissing and just all of these beautiful beach photos. And I looked at her work and I followed her work and I liked all of the pictures and I'm like, oh, amazing, amazing colors, everything about them. And I remember thinking, man, if only I lived close to a beach, my photos would look like that too. Like they would be amazing. If I just had this one beautiful location and I could just go there and all my pictures would look great. And I really believed that, you guys. And you might believe that too. And that's why I want to bust this myth today about locations and about having a beautiful background in your pictures and about having a gorgeous spot or the go-to spot or the money location that all the photographers are at where people are going to want their picture taken. Like, it's not true. You don't need that beach. You don't need the beautiful money shot, the beautiful, perfect location to take a gorgeous picture. You don't. You need a great creative vision. And yes, sometimes a beautiful ocean or sunset will help your picture if that is the vision that you have. But more than that, you guys, when you understand your camera, when you have an intention and a vision in your head beforehand, before you even go to whatever location you're going to be at, that's when your pictures are going to look great. That's when they are going to be magical and have that pop. It is not the location. Well, it has a little bit to do with the location. It is not everything. And you know what? On top of this myth, you guys, that you need a beautiful, exotic, perfect sunset, gorgeous location to take a great picture. More than that, if you are in the most perfect spot, but you have no idea how to use manual mode, if you have no idea how to get a picture in focus, or your pictures are only in focus some of the time, or if you've got no creative vision, if you're just going in blind thinking, oh, I've got this great spot, so my pictures are just going to look great, you can be in the most perfect spot. But if you don't have all those other things down, your pictures aren't going to look great. They're still not going to be magical. You're still going to be disappointed. So before you think you have to run out and buy a plane ticket to Hawaii or wherever your dream photo location is, I want you to get real clear and understand your camera first. Understand manual mode. Start really dialing down on how to get your pictures in focus. And when you do that, doesn't matter what location that you're at, your pictures will look gorgeous, okay? So it's not the location that's going to make or break your picture. It's you and learning the camera and understanding the different features of it, Okay, got it? And if you want to book a plane ticket to Hawaii, just throw one in there for me too, because I'd love to join you and shoot. So it's not necessarily that you wouldn't want that beautiful location, but before you get to that beautiful location, make sure you know your gear and your settings. Okay, got it? All right. So let's bust myth number 2 in today's episode. The second myth with photography and new photographers is that to take great pictures, you've got to have a better lens. You've got to have a better camera. You've got to have the next model up or more expensive gear, because that's what's going to make a great picture. Again, this is a total myth, you guys. And what's going to happen if you believe this myth is that you're going to spend a lot of money, because lenses and cameras are a lot of money. And while some of them are worth it, it's not the number one thing that's going to help you take a great picture. And we're going to reel this back and rewind back to myth number 1, because you need to know the gear that you have first. It goes back to that same idea, that same thought process, that once you understand your camera, once you have learned that, and you don't have to learn every single dial, you don't have to learn every single button. I actually talked a lot about this in last week's podcast episode 159. If you haven't heard that one yet, go check it out. But you don't have to have the most expensive things out there. And don't think that that is what's holding you back from taking gorgeous pictures. Because what's going to happen if that is your thought process and you believe that myth that you need a better lens or camera, you're going to be super disappointed. Because your camera, the more expensive camera, isn't going to take a more beautiful photo if you don't know how to use it. Are you starting to get the pattern here? I hope so. I hope you're starting to realize that. And I think, and you know what? If you feel this way, I don't want you to feel right now like, oh, she's totally calling me out. She's saying all of these things that I'm doing wrong, because I'm not calling you out. I just want to bring your awareness to that. And I also want you to know, just like how I believed the myth about location and that I needed to be by a beach to take great pictures, I also felt this way in the beginning about my gear, because I was using a borrowed camera. I was using not just a borrowed camera, but a really old model borrowed camera. And I thought for a long time that that was holding me back, and that I needed to go out there and buy these expensive lenses that I was seeing people with in my area or hearing people talk about in these Facebook groups. But you know what? If you go out there and spend that money on all of these lenses or gear and don't know how to use the basic functions of your camera, it's just going to disappoint you guys. Okay. So I want to go back to that just basic premise. Understand those fundamentals of your camera, of photography. Get really good at that first. And then the locations and the gear will come, okay? So just bust those myths that that's what you need. It's not what you need. Work with the locations and the camera that you have. Get really clear and comfortable on those things, and that is what is going to make your pictures pop, okay? You've got this. And if right now you're like, okay, yes, I've got it, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know what dial to turn. I'm still just a little lost. You will get there, okay? And if you want to join me in my free class, I would love to have you. It's going to get you a jump start on photography and learning your camera. Again, you can do that by going to cozyclicks.com/framework, and you can register for that course now. All right, you guys, again, thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope I cleared some myths up for you. Remember, in the very, very near future, I've got some really cool guests that are going to be joining us, chatting about photography, getting you ahead with your photography goals and your photography skills. And the Stay Focused podcast comes out every Wednesday. So make sure you've hit subscribe on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on so that you don't miss these episodes that are coming up and coming your way. All right, you guys, have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. Get out there, keep practicing. And until next time, here's to staying in focus, in camera, and with your goals. Bye, you guys.